GRINDSET, inside the mind of successful entrepreneurs with your host, Cynthia Daniels and William Sprague.
Welcome to another episode of GRINDSET. I'm your host, Cynthia Daniels, Chief Event Strategist of Cynthia Daniels and Company.
And I'm your co-host, William Sprague, your favorite banker.
And today's episode is a very interesting one. We have Madeline Lyles and Dana Taylor, co-owners of Afterlife Mortuary Services. So I think the business name says it all, that these are two young ladies. They are the first Black-owned funeral services business owned by women in the city of Memphis, Tennessee.
And so that historical perspective is really why I'm excited about this interview. Madeline and Dana both had the vision to go into funeral and mortuary services from teenagers. So I'm really looking forward to their journey into business. You've been listening to GRINDSET, and we'll be right back after the break with Madeline Lyles and Dana Taylor, co-owners of Afterlife Mortuary Services.
GRINDSET on the Kadzukian Network.
We're getting funky, y'all.
And we have to thank Dick Durbin for being strong enough to actually come out of the Oval Office and say, hey, by the way.
Because he didn't have to say it, did he?
He didn't have to say it,
and I appreciate it.
Because I tell people all the time, just because you skin folk don't mean you kin folk.
Absolutely.
Right?
Funky Politics on the Kadzukian Network.
As promised, we have Madeline Lyles and Dana Taylor, co-owners of Afterlife Mortuary. We are super excited to have you ladies on the GRINDSET today.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here.
Glad to have y'all.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I can definitely say you guys have done a lot of groundbreaking work. You are Memphis's first Black-owned mortuary, predominantly women. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today and how you guys got started.
Okay.
So first, I would love to know, how did you guys even meet? And how did you decide, okay, we're going to build a business together?
All right. Well, I'm Madeline, and Dana and I met in 2009.
Okay.
We were both working at the Shelby County Medical Examiner's Office as forensic technicians.
Okay.
So Dana came, and then she left. She was there long enough for us to meet each other and kind of, get to know each other.
Sure.
And so years went by. I was still at the morgue, and then I finally got back into funeral services, which has been my passion since 13. And
I want to hear more about that, but keep going.
And I met Dana again. We were working at a local funeral home together.
Okay.
And so years just went by, and we've always known each other. So in 2015, the end of 2015, I reached out to Dana and introduced her to the business plan, showed her the location that we're currently at, and she was, ready to come aboard. And so from there, we just jumped off.
I love that. And Dana, before you chime in, let's go back to age 13.
Okay.
How did you find your passion? Please share.
It's so crazy. I really feel like God just put it in me to do.
Okay.
Like I said, I was 13, and I remember the day I got up for school.
Yeah.
And it's like when my feet touched the floor, it was just on my mind. I want to be a mortician.
Wow.
And I didn't know anything about it.
Okay.
And I just kind of began to research and study things, and I just stuck to that, that motivation. And as soon as I graduated from high school, I went straight to college for it. So
That's
it's
incredible.
Just been there.
You have to go to college to be a mortician?
You do.
Yes.
It's a
There's
2-year
steps.
degree.
Sorry, there are steps to this.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Dana, please share your story. You trying to jump in, Brett?
Just curious.
Yes, like Madeline said, we met working at the morgue, and we kept in touch over the years, and she did contact me about the business plan, and it sounded like a perfect idea. We shared a lot of the same goals and a lot of the same passion for the business, and so that was the main thing that really attracted me to the business plan is just the passion behind it, not just being financially motivated.
Sure,
so that was definitely an eye opener for me that made me it was an easy option for me to go ahead and agree to join in on the business idea.
I love that. And if I could go back to you, Madeline, really quickly, you said you presented this business plan. 2 questions. How did you know you were ready to leave that nice, comfortable job where you got a paycheck every 2 weeks? And then how did you know Dana was the right person to partner with?
Right. In 2015, I began to work as a trade embalmer. Okay. Those are individuals who work for multiple funeral homes or just 1 or 2 other, funeral homes.
Okay.
So I was working for 12 different funeral homes at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, between Tennessee and Arkansas.
Wow.
And so working those jobs and just wanting to do more. I wanted to start a mortuary service, which was basically for funeral homes initially.
Okay.
So the plan was, I'm like, well, I'm embalming for everybody. I may as well just do it in my own facility.
Gotcha.
But I also wanted to help the community.
Okay.
Because if you look at a price list at funeral homes, one of the most expensive things that they're going to incur is embalming.
Okay.
So what I was going to do was embalm for the public as well at a reduced cost.
Okay.
And just forward the remains to whatever funeral home that family wanted to use for services.
Wow.
And so my plan was initially to start in 2015. So in 2015, I went and got a building. I purchased things, and I just started doing everything, business, license, and everything. And it didn't pan out in 2015.
Okay.
So 16 rolled around. And like I said, the end of 15, I contacted Dana. 16 came around. We were still working, for other funeral homes.
Sure.
And that's when we more so got into, beginning to start the business off when I brought Dana on. And Dana was just on my mind. It was like God said, go get Dana.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was crazy. So the crazy part was that I was at someone's funeral home working. And the lady came in and was like, well, you know what, Mel? They call me Mel. So she's like, Mel, some other young lady is trying to start a business here too. And I think she's going to do what you're doing. And I'm like, who is it?
Yeah.
And so she's like, some girl that work at this other funeral home. So she told me her name. She's like, I think her name Dana. And I was like, no, not Dana.
Can't be that Dana.
Right. And I'm like, man, I was going to ask Dana to come in with me.
Yeah.
I said, but at any rate, I'm going to ask Dana if I can embalm for her too.
Okay.
So I contacted Dana. She was like, girl, no. I ain't trying to do nothing over here. So it was just like, right
but the
on
name
time.
Still.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like God aligned it for us to know each other. He aligned it for us to meet up the way we did and to even share the same passions and desires to help others. And just to, if I can, go on to the helping part. So
this is GRINDSET. Of course you can go on to the helping part.
Keep it going.
So if you look at our company name, which is Afterlife Mortuary Services, the name, I came up with it when I was 19 years old. Okay.
You are a visionary. I love it.
It's God. I'm telling you.
Okay.
So at 19, Afterlife Mortuary Services, I'm like, okay, I like that. So then I came up with our slogan, which was caring for your loved ones after life. Okay, so years go by. And at 25, I'm sitting at home reading the Bible. And I was in Deuteronomy, and the word alms stood out. And the Lord started to speak to me. And he said, this is what you do. This is what it's about.
Wow.
That's when I realized the acronym for the company name is alms, which means to give to others or those in need. And so, right.
She just blew my mind. You all didn't see it, but literally mind blown. Sorry.
Read the name of the business.
That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah. So I'm like, wow, this is like you chose me to do this. Like it chose Dana to align with me. Like
Absolutely.
It's just crazy how it all played out. So
Yeah, discernment.
exactly.
Now here on GRINDSET, I mean, you're the visionary. So what was the conversation like to finally get Dana to come into business with you, to leave your job to go into business? So Dana, I want to hear about your version of this story. Right?
Right. And it's crazy. I guess all this, like she said, it had to be God because it really just started off of a rumor of a conversation that I had with someone, and they were like, oh, what do you think about starting a funeral home? I'm like, I never start a funeral. I don't want no funeral home. That's a headache. I just want to embalm.
Yep.
If I start anything, it would just be an embalming service.
Okay.
And this is just a hypothetical conversation. I don't have any plans. And so that conversation got back to Madeline about I'm about to start this business.
Right.
Oh,
when that
it
wasn't
like that.
exactly. But then she comes at me with the business idea of an embalming service. I'm like, wow, that's perfect. I was, if I was to ever start a business, I would start an embalming service. Like I just said that, but and here she goes.
Madeline was in your brain.
Exactly.
Huh?
And then, just listen to the business plan and just everything outside of funeral service that was included with the business. Like that's perfect. That's everything that you would want to be included if you want to help people, if you want to give back. And so just basically joining in with Madeline on the plan, and just because everything just sounded perfect, like everything just aligned perfectly, and it was all not, like I said before, not focused around finances. It was focused around giving back and helping people, because over the years working for other funeral services, we've just witnessed the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay.
And so just wanting to be able to give back and just offer a brighter light in funeral service, really.
Right.
Dana, thank you. That's the end of this segment. But when we come back, we're going to talk about startup, how you funded the business. And this is, I hope this is fun, especially since Madeline went ahead and purchased and did everything on the front end. And so we're going to talk about this, how this happened and came together logistically. So you've been listening to GRINDSET, and we'll be right back after the break.
3. The power of sisterhood is very important. So check on your strong friend, call your sister friend.
B. That's what I love about sisterhood. Like, there is no airs. I don't have to put on for you all.
C.
Wherever I am, that's where you all are. So I constantly have pictures. I'm calling, I'm texting, I'm sending stuff. I'm trying to keep connected.
3 Black Chicks on the Kazookian Network.
Welcome back to GRINDSET. We're here with Madeline and Dana, co-owners of Afterlife Mortuary Services. Mm-hmm. And so we talked about the origin story, the idea for starting a business. But Madeline, you had purchased everything, and then you invited Dana in. So logistically, how did this partnership come into fruition, I guess, financially?
Well, as I stated, with most of the equipment and everything being purchased, Dana did put in a good portion, and it was just aligned and arranged to the point where when it was time for us to actually open, we had everything that we needed, So we had 2 vehicles that we could properly do our removals with, so we could be prompt and professional, which is one of our standards. We had, all of the equipment and materials we needed. So we just sat down and looked at what was already put into the business, and Dana basically matched it, and we just went from there.
So that sounds like both of you two were already pretty good savers before you came in the business.
We're hard workers. Yeah.
Yes.
Very hard workers. We've worked for so long for other funeral homes, and we've saved diligently. And so I guess it was just time to put up the funds for it.
I love that. And one thing I'd love to know, again, you all worked in separate entities but in the same field. Mm-hmm. Tell me, what were the first 90 days like working together as co-owners?
Oh, it was very interesting. I mean,
I love that word.
Of course, we already knew each other over the years, so
that helped.
Exactly. But then when you get to the seriousness of business, it's like you just have to get adjusted to each other's personality and see where each other fits in the business spectrum, because we both try to split the work down the middle, but some areas she is better at and some areas I'm better at. So the first 90 days was really just figuring all that out and just getting in where we fit in. Basically, that's what we had to do the first 90 days.
2 questions. What exactly is embalming? And then what services and or products do you offer at Afterlife Mortuary Services?
Okay. Embalming is the process of chemically treating a deceased body to retard decomposition. It's done with embalming chemicals as well as cavity chemicals. Embalming has 2 processes. You have arterial embalming, which is the step or process of injecting the body with the embalming fluids with the assistance of a machine. The second process is cavity embalming, where you use a hydroaspirator to remove body fluids and remaining blood or other fluids from the human body through the viscera with an instrument called a trocar. And that is then treated, the viscera is treated with cavity fluid, which is a stronger index of embalming fluid. And so those are the 2. At Afterlife Mortuary Services, we do provide full funeral services and cremation services. We also have a summer camp that we offer for youth and young adults. During summer months, we actually just launched the first one last year, of course, with that being our first year in business.
Yeah.
We had individuals who were 13 to 17 years of age who were not just interested in funeral services, but in professions that are in death care, as we call it, as a whole. So we had individuals who are interested in forensics, those who might have been interested in tissue and organ donation or crematorium operation and ownership, cemeterian, work and ownership, owners of cemeteries. They also met and got hands-on training with Navy individuals who are morticians for the Navy, the district attorney's office, just different professions that we work closely with as a funeral home.
It's a hell of a summer camp.
Oh, it was amazing.
I'm telling you.
It was amazing. And they loved it. It was, our first camp had 9 individuals. And by the end of the 2 weeks, you couldn't tell that they didn't know each other. Like,
you're kidding.
Yeah, it was like one big family. They enjoyed it. The parents loved it.
Yeah.
They, got stories every day they went home. They got to tell them what was going on and what they did. And so the parents were like, y'all need to do something for us. We want to be able to come. So, yeah, it was really good.
That's so cool. We're here on GRINDSET. The majority of our listeners are women that are seeking to become entrepreneurs. One thing I'd love to know, you guys are in a male-dominated space. So tell us, what has that been like, some of the challenges, and maybe some of the advantages of being women in the space?
Yes, it definitely had challenges over the years, from discrimination to, just being exposed to different sexist comments and just conversations that you may overhear regarding you as a woman trying to make your way through the business, but basically just having to prove yourself all the time, that you're capable of doing the work, whether it's lifting or even just the presentation of your embalming, just being judged extra. Like everything was just amplified since you're a woman trying to make your way through the business, because a man can do this and a man can do that. And so just hearing comments like I don't know if we finna start having women going to people's houses picking up bodies. I don't know how that looks.
Wow.
Just hearing things like that.
How do you respond?
And you just use it as motivation, because those same comments that you said, you had to turn right back around and eat those comments, because you needed me to go to the house to pick up that body. And I did it, and I did it well, and the family was pleased. So what can you say now?
Yeah.
Moving on to the next obstacle.
I love it.
Yeah, so it definitely has, it made me stronger. It made us stronger, just going through all of that and just really being exposed to how, ugly things can be on the inside, but just still trying to smile and shine on the outside and pave your way and make your own way. And at the end of the day, no one can really take that away from you if you start from the bottom and really just try to get to the top, and you do it the right way and you smile all the way through it. I mean, they can't say anything now.
I love that. And anything you want to chime in on? Maybe she talked about the disadvantages. So what are some advantages of being women in this space?
The advantages, we're more detail oriented.
Yes.
So
I believe that.
So we're more compassionate.
Okay.
When a family comes in grieving, we don't see them as numbers, you know. And as Dana stated earlier, we've seen and heard the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like, we've heard and seen some terrible things, from the prep room, like just the arrangements that go on. And so the advantage is knowing right from wrong, and knowing how to really, and it's not even knowing, it's just being who you are, but just caring for others and having a heart of compassion to care for people at any time, but especially during the times of bereavement.
Right.
We don't see people as numbers. Families are not numbers. We want to make sure they're pleased, make sure their loved one looks great.
Yeah.
That's the last time they're going to see that person.
Yeah.
So they have memories of life, but that the image they see at the funeral is going to stick with them forever.
Right.
And so we just strive to make sure that is pleasing to help them to deal with that loss, even easier. And so that's a great advantage that we have. It's just being detail oriented, being more compassionate. And then we have a lot of families to say, oh, I thought they was going to send those old men out here to pick up the body, so it's kind of relieving. Yeah, it's refreshing to people to see women come in and we actually handle it, know, and as she said, we handle it professionally and we do it very well, and they stand back in awe, and it's like, wow, these two little black girls out here doing what these men been doing. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really incredible and inspiring. We're just so excited to have you, and we only have one more segment left. I know, right?
Overtime.
Right. I love it. So when we come back, next segment for GRINDSET, we're going to talk about what's next for your business, how you plan on growing. But we just have so much to get done in so little time.
I know it.
We'll be right back after the break.
Hey, I'm Williams Brack, co-host of GRINDSET. The insight you gain from us and our guests will motivate you to take the leap into entrepreneurship. Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast provider.
GRINDSET. on the Kadzukian Network. GRINDSET on the Kadzukian Network.
Welcome back to GRINDSET. We're here with Madeline and Dana of Afterlife Mortuary Services. Now, you clearly had passion for the business, right? Mm-hmm. And so that gets you into doing the work. But then you actually have to run the business. Mm-hmm. Who's the numbers person between the two of you?
That would be me, Dana.
Okay. And so from an accounting perspective, like what are you looking at every day to make sure the health of the business is good?
Usually every day we just look in at the cash flow in and out, just looking at what we have for the past couple weeks, and just trying to keep a steady ledger on just the balance that we're at and what we're expecting for the next couple weeks.
That's a whole bunch of technical terms you just threw at me.
That means she knows what she's doing.
I just know just a little bit. I'm an amateur.
Can you simplify it for people who may
Sure.
be thinking about going into the business?
Sure, most definitely. Just keeping a running balance in your head, if anything, but on paper is even better. And just knowing where you're at, who you owe, and knowing what you're expecting to come in the next couple of weeks. That would be the best solution.
And so how do your customers pay you? Is it cash up front? Are there deposits? Do they pay you after services are rendered? They pay you a year later? Are you spending time collecting funds? Like, how do your customers pay you?
Yes, all funds are paid before services are rendered. And that's just because of the nature of the business, because, of course, once you leave the cemetery, it's kind of final. So you will definitely want to take care of all financial business before that point. So cash, credit card, checks, and also insurance policies are accepted, and we usually just try to give them a little time to get all their finances together. So we just ask that they try to pay at least 2 days before the services.
So what if they have an insurance policy? Do they just say, hey, here's my insurance policy. When insurance pays us, we're going to pay you? Is that how it works?
Definitely not. We try to go ahead and get that insurance policy verified the first day that we get that information, and just to make sure that they're up to terms on their policy, because some people have not been aware of their loved one's status on their policy. So that's why the verification process takes place. And after that, after the policy is verified, then we allow a third-party company to help us fast fund those funds, because most insurance companies takes 30 to 90 days to pay out on those policies. So in order to make sure that everything is okay and paid for the funeral services, because we do have to order things, caskets and other flowers and things for the family, we make sure that we try to get those funds as fast as possible.
Oh, major key alert. Check your insurance policies.
Yes, definitely. Please communicate with your families. Find out where there's paperwork at, because some families can't even find where the paperwork is in the house.
Right. Like, and make sure you know who your beneficiaries are.
Exactly. Yeah. That's
good
important.
Good to know. So you all are celebrating 1 year of business, which is a huge thing.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I would love to know from both of you, what are some of the most valuable lessons you've learned in year one of business? And did you even get a mentor in this space? I know that you all had experience in it, but was there somebody that's kind of guided you along the way?
It definitely has been an eye-opener this first year of business. Just not actually being surprised, but just being reminded that everyone that smiles on your face is not exactly happy for you. And it's been a humbling experience, because, you think that everyone would share the same joy that you would have when you see them excel.
Right.
But that's not the case in this space that we are in. And just basically staying focused, because things like that can kind of either discourage you or encourage you. And so we've just tried to use that as motivation, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Excuse me. I would say the same thing. And along with that, just learning realizing more that our lives are not our own. We live for others.
Right.
And so it's truly rewarding just to be there, to have a family to come in and they're mournful, they're crying, and then by the end of the arrangements, they're relieved and they're assured that we're going to take care of things. And that's very fulfilling. And just to do that on a continuous basis, and then to hear, the reviews, word of mouth is like major. And we've had people to tell us, oh my gosh, I heard about y'all. Like, people been saying y'all do such good work.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you've been seeing our work for over a decade and you didn't know it.
We didn't know who it.
Yeah.
You're the women behind
the scenes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, just to hear that it's continuing, we know for sure, that we're doing a really good thing for people.
Right.
So,
and as far as the mentors, just really finding out that we didn't have any.
Yeah.
There were none available or willing to lend a helping hand.
Because you're the first African-American owned.
Yeah, we're the first women to establish, own, and operate a funeral home in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder, and I'll tell you, when I started in business, sometimes you have to look outside of the city. So that's something I would share with people listening on GRINDSET, that don't be limited by the place that you're starting your company. We're living in a virtual world. You can have a mentor across
wherever.
in a different country.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Now getting ready for this on my GRINDSET prep, right? One of the things I noticed that you two did a fantastic job of the media circuit, right? You really use the media to promote your business.
Right.
Did that have what effect did that have on the growth of Afterlife Mortuary Services?
Well, we first of all thank God, because it was favor like all the way around.
You blessed, huh?
Oh my Lord, thank you. Like, they would reach out to us. Of course, we made history, you know, and so it's a big story.
Yeah.
So as people learned about it, they wanted to interview us as well, and so the impact that it had was pretty good. We actually, 2 of our decedents, or 2 funerals that we had, were individuals who were sick. And they were like in the hospital watching TV.
You're kidding.
Yeah. And they saw us on the news and they told their families, you know, I'm proud of those little girls. They call us the little black girls. I'm proud of them. And that's who I want to take care of my services when I do pass. And so the family granted their wishes.
Wow.
Yeah.
The news worked, huh?
It works.
That was a big smile, Dan. Yeah, I swear by that.
Yeah, it works.
And so what other marketing are you doing to grow, or is it word of mouth because you've done such extraordinary work in this first year? Well,
currently it's more so word of mouth and then social media. We're pretty heavy on social media. We haven't been as aggressive as we're going to be yet with advertising, because we haven't moved into our new location, which is coming up.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, thank God. And so the location we're in now is small because, as we stated earlier, you know, it was supposed to just be embalming. And so we want to just be prepared, and we want to have the space available for the families when they do come, because we know they're going to come when they actually get to know us and see us more with advertising. And so once we relocate, we'll be more, you know, into the advertising, like commercials, and you know, we'll circuit back around again and do things.
Okay, speaking of social media, how do we find you? Can you tell us your social media, your website, and your phone number?
Yes, we're on Facebook and Instagram, Afterlife Mortuary Services, and our phone number is 901-600-3999. Our website is www.almsofmemphis.org, ALMS-of-Memphis.org, and our email address is almsofmemphis@gmail.com, ALMS-of-Memphis@gmail.com.
Consistent branding. I love it.
And what's that phone number again?
901-600-3999.
Dana, Madeline, thank y'all for sharing your origin story on GRINDSET.
Thank you.
We know you've done all the great media in town, some out of town, so we're glad to be blessed with your presence.
Thank you so much.
Blessed to be here. Thank you guys for inviting us.
You've been listening to GRINDSET, and we'll be right back after the break.
Well, no, you had the Buffalo game, but understand, New York and upstate New York, they are not moderates by any measure.
They may
Am I not right?
They may not be, but guess what? Even conservatives get sick, and I think everyone realized that if healthcare was going to be threatened, they were going to be in bad shape.
That is not how they looked at it.
These heroes that you're talking about just responded to their constituency. The system worked. I think that's what happened. Funking up your airwaves and jamming the good information in your ear. Once again, it's Funky Politics.
Funky Politics.
Funky Politics.
On the Kadzukian Network.
Welcome back to GRINDSET. As you know, we just finished interviewing Madeline Lyles and Dana Taylor, co-owners of Afterlife Mortuary Services. And this interview was special to me because these are the first female African-American owners of Mortuary and funeral services, and they left a few major keys for me. The first one was insightful, right? It's you've already met your business partner. If you have any dreams of going into business and the entrepreneurship life, be aware of people that you've worked with in the past, coworkers, friends, family, that might be good people to partner with to go into business. Number 2 is a life lesson. Check your insurance policies. Make sure they're up to date. Make sure you know who the beneficiaries are, because this is not something you want to do in the time of mourning. Number 2, stay focused. There can be a tremendous amount of distraction in business to people who don't want you to succeed, to just the everyday nature of business. And then the fourth one is when you live for others first, the money tends to follow. Cynthia?
For this episode, I found a really powerful quote that speaks to the story and history makers that we've spoken to today. The quote says, "If I have to, I can do anything. I am strong. I am invincible. I am woman." That's from Helen Reddy. And it's just an incredible story to know that these two young ladies have been working behind the scenes in the mortuary business for years, and they stepped out on faith and decided to do their own thing in the male-dominated field.
And they're growing. Yeah, it's working.
Absolutely.
And they've worked the media. And that's a great tactic for aspiring entrepreneurs. And hopefully that's tremendous value you've received from the GRINDSET podcast. You've been listening to GRINDSET, powered by the Kazukian Network, and we'll see you next episode.
GRINDSET. Executive producer Epicenter. GRINDSET is directed, produced, and distributed by Kazukian.